Okay, as promised, this next mini lecture is going to look at how we would go about editing. So we've given our paragraph our soak time. So we'll assume that I've walked away from it. I actually left it overnight. Now I'm going to look at it again, and I've actually highlighted some of the sections that I've already identified as being problematic. And we're going to look at how we can improve this. So let's take a look here. I always remember the final approach to Long Beach. We are driving down the serpentine winding highway with towering trees on both sides. Streaks of brown and green fill my imagining. So what I've indicated here is that I don't like the phrasing of this end of this sentence. So when I looked at this, I thought to myself, can I write this in a more powerful way? Now, the problem I have here is that by sticking this image right at the end of the sentence, it doesn't give it as much power or as much clarity, because normally English is a subject-heavy language. That means we usually put the more important information at the beginning of the sentence in the fact that it will be the subject. It's in the form of a subject. So I thought, okay, maybe I can change this into a new sentence. Where we actually put these trees into the position of the subject to make it a little bit more powerful. So we're going to put a period there. Okay, so I've changed it here. Towering trees line both sides of the road, so streaks of brown and green flash into my imaginings. I like that better. I've put the trees into the subject position, which I like, and also I've changed this into a, what type of sentence is this? Actually, right now it is a compound sentence, but yeah, and that's fine because the streaks of brown and green are the subject. So we do have a subject here. For a second I was thinking we don't have a subject, but this, all those streaks can be either a verb or a noun. As I always say, you need to look at both form and function. What does it look like? What is it doing? In this case, it's acting as part of the noun phrase. The streaks of green and brown, that is actually the noun phrase right there. So streaks is the noun, and of green and brown is a prepositional phrase that's modifying or telling us more about these streaks, right? Flash is the verb. Okay, so everything works there. It's a compound sentence. We're happy with that. Let's move on. The car swoops around the corner, and there, off in the distance, we get our first glimpse of the silver sands of Long Beach and the cerulean blues of the Pacific waves. Now, I don't like the use of waves here. I think I can come up with a more powerful word, and I'm just going to go straight to the source. I'm going to change it into what we all know it really should be, which is ocean, right? Good. So that's just a word choice issue, and I've corrected that. It is at that precise moment that the hummingbirds start buzzing their shimmering wings within my heart. Okay. Now, also, I missed this in my discussion of my marking process, but this is also a metaphor, right? Are there actually hummingbirds flying around inside my heart? No. I'm comparing that to the feeling of anticipation that I have. And because I don't use the words like or as, this is a metaphor. It is a direct comparison. But I don't like this phrasing. I think it's a little bit, I don't know, Hallmark greeting card. So let's change it, shall we? Okay, I just put it in the right form. Okay, so I like that better. Their shimmering wings within, battering my stomach lining. Okay, good. Now I've also indicated here that I might want to include a little bit more detail, but actually upon looking at the assignment prompt again and looking at our word count again, because we're already kind of running a little bit long, I'm just going to remove this. I don't think we need to add anything more here. And this is all part of the editing process. You have to think your way through it. You have to be logical. You have to take your time. You have to read carefully, right? These are all things we do. And I like reading out loud to myself, which is something that I actually do when I edit, because the mistakes, you're more likely to catch them when you're reading out loud. Okay, good. I have an unbreakable connection with that beach, it is my spiritual home. Good. My parents used to truck. My parents used to camp right on the beach in the back of my dad's old green truck, the Green Machine. We used to camp there every summer with our cousins from Kamloops, the Synonym Girls. Okay, so let's see here. What am I indicating here? So maybe we can improve the phrasing here. We're using the word beach a lot, right? So and then again, this is an issue of being too repetitive. So let's change this. And that's just, I just picked a fairly basic synonym, right? Good. So we used to travel there every summer with our cousins from Kamloops, the Synonym Girls. And when I was a young man, I would drive there every New Year's Eve with a care. No, that's a spelling mistake, as we saw in the last video. So those ones are easy to fix, right? Full of tipsy friends to watch the sunrise over the Pacific. I was the DD, of course. And this is true. I actually did this for several years in my 20s, where I wouldn't uh, I wouldn't drink during New Year's, and I would instead wait until the party was over, and then I'd ask all my friends who wants to pile in the car with me and go to Long Beach, and we did this. It was a tradition. Okay, we watched the sunrise for the first day of the new year out by the Pacific Ocean, which was really beautiful. Good. Now, this is an example of a transition that's telling the reader we're coming into something that's going to be talking about a point of similarity or something on the same side. So we will just remove the, and as I mentioned in the last video, when I'm marking your work, a blue highlight indicates something you've done well. A yellow highlight indicates something that needs improvement. Okay. Moreover, I can remember 100 walks along those hard sands where the wind is whipping through my dusty hair. So again, when you're looking at descriptive writing, you'll notice I'm using adjectives to describe things. I'm trying to create this feeling that you're there. I'm going through the senses, right, of what you see, what you smell, what you hear, what you feel, what you think. Kind of go through all those. You can rearrange the order to suit your own personal feelings, but you want to try to get as many of those details in as possible. So again, we mentioned in the last video, this should be plural. There's many gulls, therefore they would make many cries, right? Good. The looming forest of spruces and cedars behind, and the ever-present hum of the island vibes of Island Vibes somewhere under my skin. It all defines me, providing a bedrock to who I am. So again, excellent. Now this one here, this bit here, we mentioned in the last video, it will need to be capitalized. It's a proper noun. It's a place, a location, a one-of-a-kind place. Okay. Long Beach's grainy sands are in my blood. I know the curves and lines of her porcelain slopes like a 17-minute yoga forward bend, Paschimottanasana. I know the hills and islands that lie at her edges. I've climbed over them and contemplated their cracks and furrows. I've cut my feet on them and lay there watching the waves crash, crash, crashing against the... This is a bit of a bold writing choice. Some teachers might not like that. Personally, I'm okay with it as long as you've got a reason for explaining it. And yes, the waves do come crashing in repetition, right? So, but maybe if you wanted to play it safe, you could take it down to a single crashing, okay? I've tasted the salt in the air. I've explored every, and this is a word choice, so I've indicated that I might be able to come up with a better word, and I do have a better word. Good, and here we had a comma error, as indicated in the previous video. marking video. Good. So I've crawled down every bush-crowded trail and every chilly tidal pool. Okay, that's my 10-minute warning. So I've just about come to the end of my video length here, which is good because we're coming to the end now. And tried in vain to scoop up bullhead fishes in cupped hands. I've walked the changing storm-tossed logs in a game. How long can you keep going without touching the sand? My younger sister and I built empires of drip sandcastles and dreamed of their epic legacies and demise. Sandcastles crushed down by the sands of time. Good. The infinite circle of life, on those invisible cogs we turn to. Thus, when we turn that telling corner and sweep down the hill with those shining sands in sight, my heart is full, for I am coming home. Good, and you'll notice that it's kind of this. One of the nice things about this paragraph is that it's got some similes, it's got some metaphors. It goes through a very clear descriptive section of memories of different things that I've done on the beach. But then at the very end, it circles back around to connect with the beginning. So it connects with the idea of right at the start, I talk about coming down the highway and turning that corner and seeing the beach. But I also talk about, in the middle, I talk about it feeling like a home for me. So in a very natural way, this brings the entire paragraph back around, almost like a big circle, okay? Which is something that is a strong writing strategy. Okay, so that's just a look at how I would go through a paragraph that I wrote to make improvements. So what you'll notice, the first thing I did is when I reread it, I marked the things I didn't like. Then when I've come back after my soak time, I've got some ideas about how to fix it. Okay, now we will be including several self-editing videos throughout this course, and I know this one is big picture because of the paragraph, but I wanted to put it up there because you guys have 2 paragraphs this week that are coming in for marks. So I wanted to give you some support in how to look at your own work and edit it. As we move forward, we will look at doing some sentence level editing as well. That's on the book, so it's coming. All right, wonderful. Good luck.